Before the video begins, I just want to let you all know that I have a Patreon now. So if you want to go ahead and support that, link is in the description below. Why do I even question things anymore? I mean, first I was in my room, and now I'm in a school. Well, this is my dream world, I don't really get to decide. But at least I have this. At least I have... Oh, what the hell. Yo! Oh! It inverted me. Yeah, I just kind of stayed in bed and life took course after that. I died like an old grandma. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, don't worry. I just got tired of everything. Everything just got exhausting. Did you at least like talk to people on your phone? Nah, that also gets kind of tiring, especially when you talk to like the same people in a row. I don't know. It just really gets on you. Oh. Well, there's a lot of things that can come from friends and just going through life. Sure, I'll humor you. World's your oyster. If you will, then, welcome again to Wonder Egg Retrospective, the show where I take a look back at all of Wonder Egg priority and regurgitate my thoughts and opinions about it all back to you. Look at that! We've gone through the first third of the series. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think I'd get this far. But like the cast themselves, I keep coming back, even if it seems like I'm not gonna. Oh right, the cast! We finally have our 4 leads together after, coincidentally, 4 episodes. So now we can have nice, character-rich group interactions, right? Right? Well... Is this foreboding? Oh no, not really, no. I'm just recalling everything. I'm sorry, I have a terrible memory. Okay, let's get to the review now. Can we technically count this as Wonder Egg's first action opener? I mean, I guess episode 3's count, but that was at the end of the battle, so yeah, this is technically our first action opener. And wow, can this show be ballsy with its real-life references. Especially when considering that the Wonder Killer looks awfully familiar to a certain cult leader, and some dialogue referring to a sort of chemical related to said cult leader. Wink wink, nudge nudge. And that out of the side, Nadu in general steals this entire opening sequence, especially when considering that her weapon is literally a mathematical compass that can turn into an SMG, sniper rifle, and some sort of rocket lance thing. And there is some really good secondhand following from episode 2 with the whole concept of give and give relationships, and how Nadu, specifically in this opening scene, really isn't used to these kind of relationships. That is, until the scene after the opening song, as it's used to contrast the past with the present Nadu. And it's just really nice to see I have a group of friends after spending a solid semester of time in seclusion. And the storyboarding really does help with the documentary feel that Danoijima and Wakabayashi were aiming for, as there are zoom-ins and panning shots in the scenes in Ai's room, and later on as well. So, in a storyboarding and animation sense, this truly does feel like a documentary, and it's charming as hell. Yeah, you kinda got off topic just to talk about the storyboarding and animation. Yeah, I go off topic a lot sometimes, I'm sorry. But the characters really are the highlight of the episode, whether it be Momoe being the big sister or mom type, Ai being the curious happy one, and Nadu being the intellectual that's finally able to let loose a little. And Rika... I'll get to Rika. But outside of that, there are many group conversations, one of them revolving around him, and it gives us a much more in-character discussion not only about him, but who he might truly be under the facade he might have. I feel like you're building up to something. It's been taking me 2 episodes to do so, give me time. But outside of that, again, we also dive deeper into Momoe and her past, whereas Rika kinda gives us the bare minimum about her family, just that she really doesn't like her mom. Although, Nadu is a lot more quiet about her own family, mostly regarding her sister. And although, technically, her second action sequence for the rest of the episode technically is meant to fill the action quota, it can also act as a way to hint to the true nature of Nadu, especially when her eggs have a theme of freedom and or perfection. Her second egg girl even fixates on the consequence of aging, When you age, you lose your youth, you lose your perfection, and that's why Needy should die while she's still young. Note in mind that these are all human selfish desires. This is weirdly overanalyzed, and for what? Something in the future. Also, I guess the bowling arcade sequence is cute in that the photographs are really cute, and I totally think they're not gonna have any sort of value later on. Okay, let's talk about Rika now. Okay, I've done enough beating around the bush for this topic. Let's talk episode 5 Rika. And if you were watching this episode for the very first time, then you kinda think she was a bit insensitive to everyone. Like, really brash and outspoken. Like, I am talking, kinda forgetting that being seen as a boy makes Momoe uncomfortable. Talking about a conspiracy about him that makes Momoe very uncomfortable. And I think one of her less than greater moments, the final conversational conflict of this episode. Here, Rika provides a hypothetical. What if they stopped buying eggs? She could have ended it there. Maybe she could have opened the floor to discussion. But no, she then proceeds to say that she does not need to feel responsible for Shiemi's death, in that they're risking their life for someone that doesn't even, or maybe doesn't even want to be saved. Okay, Rika. I can understand that this is basically an act, and I can understand that guilt and grief has consumed your mental being. But that last part towards I was... That was uncalled for. Like, extremely so. I think this is why I feel like Rika makes this episode just a little bit harder to watch. Not a lot, just a little. Like, I still think this episode works for episode 7 when Rika's own arc comes around, but still, I'm surprised I didn't yell back or even just a little bit more. But after all of this, we finally get to hear more about Neiru's sister and... Geez, like, I can understand being jealous of a sibling, but to go that far? I get it why Neiru would just do it for herself, honestly. If it helps with the scars to think faster, then it's hunky-dory. Good for her. You do you, girl. Girl boss. I also do like that Ai's reason for going to her dreams has now changed. No longer is it simply, I want Koito back. She's now aware that the person she knew back then may not be the same that she meets when she gets Koito back. Now, all she wants to know is why that she died. And that's honestly great characterization for her. It's not static or reactive. Ai is constantly active in this plot and changes over time. And Neiru herself shows some great development, as she comes to the conclusion that although her sister may have tempted Neiru to take her own life, she didn't. She chose to live. So when we return to the real world the next scene, and see that everyone's all friendly again, well, if we could take character context, Rika would have used Ai as a second-hand way to apologize to everyone, and also to apologize to Ai as well. And although everyone would accept it before you say anything, they definitely would have talked to her about her outburst, and obviously about her past, especially with certain implications in episode 7. We also get a small conversation with the Akkas I find oddly interesting. Akka says that even though that they were given an indirect choice to not come back, they still do. He simply calls it Teenage Rebellion. He says that it will build their own identities. But Akka, in response, he just laughs, and not like a chuckle, like almost a psychotic break. Maybe Akka isn't as reserved as we thought he was. Wow, that was a lot to take in. Oh, yes and no. I got everything. You're me after all. No, because I can understand having friends are important, but outside of that, I don't know. You didn't go to school either, huh? Mm-hmm. Senioritis sure is something. Okay, then I guess it's only appropriate to talk about the next episode. The term punch drunk is defined as this: stupefied by or as if by a series of heavy blows to the head. Let's keep this definition in mind, as this definition is extremely important to this episode. Anyways, this episode is about Ai having to deal with the fact that Tai is dating Susaoki and they didn't tell her shit. That was weirdly aggressive. It was kinda what she was feeling. It kinda came out of nowhere. Like, seriously, she thought him coming over again was just to talk about coming back to school. For like, the upteenth time. But nope, just announced to your daughter that you've been dating behind her back. In fact, let's bring back that definition of punch drunk. She's already gotten 2 blows in the head. The first obviously being Sawaki coming over in general, and the second blow, them wanting to start dating. And they emphasize this scene. The storyboarding uses either far back or close-up shots to show how uncomfortable Ai is. Hell, there are even moments when you can see her visually shake. And then they proceed to contrast that with a very happy Momoe. Man, what is with these kids not being able to read the room? Especially when considering him. I feel like you've been building up to something I don't know about. Okay, I've stalled long enough. It's time to talk about him. Is this what you wanted? Has all my analyzing led to this moment that I've been dreading? If so, then so goddamn be it. Suichiro Sawaki's probably the first anime adult I actually hate. And I've seen worse anime adults. I've seen adults that literally jeopardize everything else just to fit for their own vendetta or goals. I've seen, I think, an adult man willing to sacrifice his own sister just to find a perfect world just for him. The Yakas. Trust me, that's gonna age like cheese. But why do I hate Sawaki? Why is it that I have such visceral hatred for this seemingly normal looking man? What he could hide. Which means I have to talk about the episode 3 flashback scene. This scene single-handedly started a mystery that really should have been obvious with an answer from the start. But yet we just watched it along with Ai. We didn't have the full picture. But yet, during that scene, in Ai's room in episode 5 and the preceding strip mall scene in 6, the girls try and put the pieces together themselves, using in-universe context clues, such as the fact that he's younger than Ai's mom, and that he's also very popular with the other girl students. And well, Ai even provides her own. Koito herself may have had a crush on him. But you know something about objectively attractive people? They can use that to their advantage, to get someone close to them and to get them on their vulnerable side, to take advantage of them. And the storyboarding of certain cuts of Sawaki, he has this almost inhuman look to him. And in his design, he's almost inhuman himself, with a very short neck but a built body. And I think that's intentional. It doesn't help that both Momoe and Nadio are kinda tone deaf during this entire ordeal. Although for different reasons. Momoe out of a sense of justice to defend someone close to her. I understand that. And Nadu, well, she's never really understood this kind of dilemma. And so she just tries and uses the previous theory to help answer why Ai's uncomfortable. Maybe she likes him too. Oh god, does? Oh no, don't worry, she doesn't. I thought she did too. But if anything, it just makes her more and more uncomfortable. Especially since before this specific scene ends, there's an extra few shots of her looking extremely uncomfortable with that thought, and it's all well animated too. So props to the animation team for that one. But back to the main point of this thing. I think that that uncomfortability is most shown in the Egg World sequences, and that feeling is replicated in her egg girl, Yae Yoshida, an occult who was able to see spirits, but was getting uncomfortable and scared of seeing them, but yet no one took her seriously. They thought she was just acting. Where Yae fell into the temptation of death, Ai has an outlet to avoid that same fate, that being her egg world, where she can yell as loud as she wants, where she can throw, swing, and cry as much as she wants. And it helps. In a way, she finds her answer with helping Yae and the Wonder Killer, as they both just wanted one person to support and or see them, even if they didn't at first. And for Ai, although she's realized this for herself, she realizes that she needs to do this for others around her as well. And that means making changes to her everyday life. No longer can she stay secluded only to leave for a singular purpose. She has to leave for many reasons. She has to learn. She has to see. And that first step can be as simple as returning to school. Not just for herself, but also for her mom. But I'll elaborate on that last part later on in the series. That's nice. Too bad I won't be able to see that later on. Had a feeling you'd say that. I'll see you whenever. Second that. I still hate Sawaki though. You know, these two episodes used to be my least favorite to rewatch, but talking about it more, I have a better appreciation for them. Episode 5 is a nice cooldown while still providing active importance to the plot. And episode 6 is great for Ai as she finally begins to take the first steps into improving herself as a person, as is going to be the theme for the next few episodes. Next time we celebrate the in-universe birthday of our Rika Kawaii, and even more insight into Aonuma, as well as a time where she was human before everyone else came along. What's that? I'm skipping an episode. The actual episode 6 according to the list on Funimation and other websites? Not to me! But maybe I'll do something for that episode. I don't know. We'll see. Until then, this has been Wonder Egg Retrospective. I'll see you all next time.